everybody. Welcome to our third episode. This is so exciting. We have people, if you want to start putting who you are in the chat, I could welcome people from all over. This is the Arizona episode. This is the one where we're going to be learning how to make two different soups for women in Arizona. And I want to thank Project Inspire for making all these wonderful episodes on a taste of Shabbos. Just to give us a little thought, and then we're going to get in and introduce our first participant. This week's Coming Torah portion discusses a very special commandment. Shalom from Texas. Yes, Texas, Toronto, Long Island, I see. Suffolk, New York. In this week's Torah portion, it talks about the commandment of Hakel. Hakel means everybody coming together, and that's what we're doing tonight. We have people coming from all over, learning about Shabbat and learning how to cook our special foods. Michigan in the house, another Toronto in the house, yes. But what's interesting is that when it talks about Hakel, it repeats a concept 2 times. It repeats the importance of when everyone gets together, the king is going to read different excerpts from the Torah. And he wants everybody there. Hashem said, God says you got to have the moms, the dads, the grandparents, and the children. And then it repeats it again in the Torah portion, how you have to have the little children there. So a question gets asked, why do I need the little children? Why do they have to be there? Can they understand what's going on? So what we're going to see is exactly the purpose of what we're doing. We're going to have tonight, on tonight's show, we're going to have children on the show tonight with their moms. And they're going to tell you with their moms what's so special about Shabbat. And that's why those children were there at this commandment of listening to the Torah, because sometimes people don't have to understand every word. That's not what it's about sometimes. Sometimes it's about experiences and catching those experiences. And that's what we're presenting, how these children, how these girls, how these sons, they catch the experiences that are in your home. Our children understand, they watch us and they understand what goes on. And we want to set up and model for our children so that they could catch whenever they can. Wow. Yeah. People are commenting, I hurt myself. Don't worry about it. I'm all good. Okay. So without further ado, I want to call on our first person, CC Dash. Where are you, CC, with your 2 daughters? There they are. I told you tonight's a night about moms and daughters. Yes, very important. Hi, where are you guys all from? Arizona. Okay, girls, what are your names? Gabby. And what's your name? Rafi. And how old are you guys?
I'm 10. I'm 8.
10 and 8. Wow, they're so cute, Cece. They're so cute.
Thank you.
What would you girls like to tell me and your mom want to tell me about Shabbos?
What do you want to say?
When our mom goes to Shabbat, she makes a lot of food and really yummy desserts. So sometimes she makes cookies and brownies.
Could you repeat? I don't know. I didn't hear 100%. So just
let's try this again. So
yes, there we go.
She makes a lot of desserts like cookies and brownies, and they're really yummy.
Oh, and it's special for Shabbos?
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. How about you? What do you like so much about Shabbos?
I like spending time with my family and the food. Really
you like spending time with your family?
About the food.
Yeah.
You're not into the food as much. You like the family part.
And the food, a ton of the food.
You like the food. So Mom, tell us, what are you doing different? What did you used to do? What are you doing now? That's so special.
Well, I used to do nothing, but I mean, yeah. So I used to do nothing. I wasn't aware. But then when I started intentionally deciding, well, I'm going to set aside this time to take time out for my family and take time out for me and meditate on why making such a special distinction between between all the other days of the week and this day. Why is this so important to me? And so what I started doing was I started baking challah. And that's how the inspiration began, is that once I started baking challah, other things started baking too, like brownies and cookies, like my children said. But beyond that, other things came from that. So I started making all kinds of interesting dishes with all kinds of vegetables and deciding, well, there's a lot of, you know, spirituality in this cooking, you know, perhaps this should be kosher. And then it kept building and building and building. And guess what? Now we have a kosher kitchen, and now we have Shabbat, and now we have all these wonderful things in our house. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. We have been, I mean, I make challah all the time. My friends love, you know, want to come over and they say, oh my gosh, you've got to make the challah. You've got to make it for me. The ones that aren't observant, and they're like, you've got to give me a few loaves just to tide me over until next week. Then I can come back. You know, I even held a challah bake. You know, there's,
Her house delicious.
yeah, apparently it's good. So, but I do credit my teachers. So they really taught me a lot about how to make a good challah. But other than that, I mean, I make soups and I make all kinds of different kinds of meat dishes and vegetable dishes and noodles and just everything. And so it really is a time for me to think about my relationship to Hashem, my relationship to my family, my relationship to my community, and infuse all of that energy into what I do through food. And then look, I've got happy kids. So yeah, there's a lot of winning here. So
Thank you, Cece. And I think what's really important to everybody is what we noticed is with the girls, they had different aspects that they were catching on to, that these experiences that Cece as the mom is role modeling. One was focusing on the food and one is focusing on family time, but it's all coming out. And also what was important, how Cece, how you were saying it was a step-by-step process. That Cece wasn't looking at it like, oh my gosh, it's all or nothing. She's not, I just started with one thing and it progressed. And I think we had said that in the last show. So thank you so much, Cece. Thank you, girls. You're the cutest. I love those dimples. Thank you so much. Now, we are going to our first cook of the evening. I'd like to find Ann. Ann, are you around? Ann, wow. I love your hair, Ann. Gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
You look
It's
stunning tonight.
COVID-19. When you haven't gone to the salon in 5 months, you do what you can do.
I think you look awesome. Why don't you tell everyone where are you from, Ann?
Originally Chicago, but I lived in California for a long time, and now we live in Arizona, and I love it.
How long have you been in Arizona for?
6 years.
6 years. So why don't you tell everybody what we need to have the recipe up, guys. Let's have that recipe. Ann is going to do a special type of soup for us. This is called the Busy Mom's Super Easy Canadian Matzo Ball Soup. And I just want to mention, and I'm sure Ann is going to mention also, that she makes a pareve version. It's a non-meat. But if you want, you can add chicken and it's going to make it fleshig or it's going to make it meat. So we're going to spotlight Ann onto the screen with her recipe. And Ann is going to do the rest of the talking and explain why she felt the need to make it a little bit easier, so on and so forth, and show us how she does it. Can we spotlight her on it with the...
Okay. I'm still seeing the recipe. I don't know if you have me or not. Okay.
Do you have her on there with the recipe, guys?
I see that she is spotlighted and the recipe's on, but I guess we're not able to see both this time. So should I take the recipe off?
Okay, take the recipe off for now. If any, again, we're going to do the same
I'm
thing.
back.
You're back. I guess people want the recipes, so I'll post it in the chat, okay? Go ahead. Go, Ann.
Basically, years ago, I used to make Canadian soup from scratch with the chicken soup and everything. But moving to Arizona, when the summers can be 120, 122 degrees, I don't always feel like spending all day in the kitchen where it's hot. So I came up with a shortcut, and nobody knows that it's not made from scratch. It is parva because I use the mix, so there's no meat in it. And also I try to add a little bit more water to reduce the sodium, because soups are very high in sodium. So if you're watching cholesterol, you're watching sodium, you don't have the meat, you don't have quite as much salt, but there is a lot of salt even in the reduced version. Okay, so what I do is I basically follow the directions on the box, and there's several brands. There's Lipton, there's Strites, there's Manischewitz. They're all kosher, they're all parve. And like Jordana said, if you want to make it for a meat meal, you can throw in some cooked chicken, or you can make some chicken and, you know, plop it in. But basically what you do is you follow the directions on the box. But what I do, I'm just going to open this box for a moment. There's 2 packets in the box. One is the seasoning, the soup mix that has the seasoning, and the other is the matzah meal, basically. But what I do is I add vegetables, so it looks like it's homemade. You could also throw in, if you wanted to break up some spaghetti strands and throw them in the last couple of minutes to soften them, to make it like a chicken noodle or Canadian noodle soup, you could do that too. But what I'm going to do is you measure out about 10 cups, and I already measured it, and I just, while you were talking a moment ago, I threw it in the pot to start boiling because it takes a while. But it asks for like 10 cups of water. I add a little bit extra so it's not too salty, and again, it reduces the sodium. And then you add your soup mix with it. I'm just going to cut the top off. You throw that in the pot. And I swish it around with a spoon so it breaks up the powder. I'll leave that there for a second. And then what I do is, and I've already washed my vegetables just to save time. I wash and I peel my vegetables. I use carrots, I use celery, and I use parsley. Parsley can be either dried or fresh, it doesn't matter. And I kind of, as I said, I wash it, and I use a vegetable wash. Trader Joe makes a kosher one, and Costco also has one. Whatever you want to use, that's up to you. And then what I do is I cut off the ends of the carrots, like so. And if you have any rabbits or you compost, give your rabbits a treat, compost. Otherwise, just chuck it in the garbage, down the disposal, whatever. And then I have 3 good sized carrots, basically, and they're not all the same size because I bought them in a bag, so they're different sizes. But I kind of cut them into thirds so that each person, gets a piece of carrot, or if they're really huge, you can cut it into fourths, whatever floats your boat.
Okay, and then you just put
And
everything.
then I do the same thing with the celery. I've got some stalks of celery, about 2 to 3 stalks, and I slice them.
Okay, be careful with that knife, 'cause that's how I hurt myself.
I saw your hand in the bandage. I hope it feels better. And I'm
Yeah.
going to take all this and I'm going to throw it in the pot so it starts simmering with the soup mix.
Okay, there you go. Wow. That looks great. So you put everything in with the water.
I'm also going to add some parsley. And again, I washed the parsley earlier just to save time. And I checked for bugs to make sure, it was kosher and there's no issue. And you can throw in as much or as little as you want. It gives it color, it gives it a little bit of flavor. And again, it's a shortcut.
Excellent.
I'm going to throw this in the pot also and just let it simmer with the other stuff. And
how long does it cook for?
all the directions on the box. It cooks about, when it starts boiling out, there's another step that comes in between. I have to make the little matzah, the little Canela balls. So I'm throwing the parsley in. And I'm done with that. And then for the Canelas, I'll get this out of the way too, so you don't have to look at it. For the Canelas, you need a couple of eggs. Oh, well, let me grab one more.
It's okay. Thank God.
You can tell this is live.
That shows that we are live.
Things can happen,
Things
Okay.
can happen. That's right.
So, one, I'm putting it in a bowl. I'm using a separate bowl to break them to make sure there's no blood spots so that they're not, unkosher, not kosher. And then you're going to take a fork and just beat up your eggs. And then there's a second package, which kind of slopping with egg yolk right now. But anyway, this is the matzah meal.
And while you do that, is it okay if I call in someone to do some inspiration for us? While you make that?
Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna call on Renee. Renee, can we find Renee? Hi, Renee.
Hello, how is everybody?
Good. And you want to tell everybody where you're from while those canadials are being made?
I am from Plainview, Long Island.
Oh,
Jay Inspire, Long Island.
Yay, Project Inspire Long Island, hooray! Okay, so what would you like to share with us about Shabbos?
So just like Tzipora said, so I actually grew up pretty conservative, conservadox. We kept kosher. We did Shabbat in the house every Friday. It was family time. We loved just getting together. And then like as you kind of grow up, you know, sometimes you may sway a little bit away. You may get a little bit more observant. And I kind of swayed away. I was very involved in youth group. But then after I got married and had kids, my husband and I, we sent our kids to the JCC for nursery school, and we would do Shabbat every once in a while. We enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything that we did all the time. And then a friend of mine introduced me to J Inspire, and I never went to Israel, and I went to Israel for the first time 3 years ago, October. Had the best experience, loved my city leaders, really enjoyed it, started making challah. And when I came home, my husband then decided to go. And I always talked about that I wanted to keep a kosher house. I was like, come on, we already, you know, bought kosher foods, but we didn't have the separate dishes or anything. And I was like, I really want to do this. I came home, I was like on the Israel high, loved everything, and convinced my husband, and he ended up going the following October on the men's trip, which was great. And he comes home and he's like, you know what? I think I'm ready to keep kosher. Wow. And in between, you know, I would bake challah every once in a while. And he ended up going, as I said, and a year ago, November, we changed our kitchen to a kosher kitchen, had my rabbi come, we changed everything over. And I started making challahs on a more regular basis. I would make it in a 5-pound batch, put it in the freezer. And now my kids count down the week for Shabbat in order to have mommy's challah. We're getting ready for my daughter's bat mitzvah in 6 weeks, and she's like, you know, they ask all questions like, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite holiday? You know, she's like, my favorite food's my mom's challah. they know the difference, and we really just enjoy being together and being a family, and even hosting families pre-COVID, you know, or outdoor, you know, for Shabbat services, but we really enjoy, and my kids just really look forward to Shabbat. So we have to thank J Inspire and everybody for just bringing it back into our lives even more.
Thank you, thank you. See, as Renee said, it's step by step, and look how it trickled down to the kids, and that's what's really important. The experience is how the kids just catch it, and that's what we want. We want a model so that the kids can catch it. And I think we're going to have another mommy and daughter duo. I think if we can find Lisa Plant, anyone can find Lisa Plant on screen. Thank you, Renee, so much. Ah, there's Lisa. And it's so funny that Renee had just mentioned about her Israel trip, because Lisa went on my trip last summer. It was her second time ever in Israel, but that really, she said, was transforming for her. You want to tell Lisa, introduce yourself and your lovely daughter?
Hi, I'm Lisa Plan, and this is my daughter, Jordan. I was very fortunate to have Jordana as one of my group leaders, and it was just beyond incredible.
Where are you guys from?
I'm sorry, we're from Norwood, New Jersey, Bergen County. And what I was looking for from my trip was really to bring home tradition to my family. I grew up Reform. We have a Reform home now. My husband actually converted to Judaism. And we would do, when my husband was first converting, we did Shabbat often, but not always. And it was in our own way. And then we just kind of stopped doing it. But when I came back from my trip, I started doing it religiously. And then my daughter came home from camp, and she has a beautiful service that she does, you know, shorter than your service might be. But again, the tradition that we were looking for in our family, and it's really just been lovely. Something really special. And with everything that's going on right now, we Zoom in with my mom, who's in Florida. And no matter where we are, Jordan could be with my in-laws, you know, my mom's in Florida, wherever we are, we make sure that we make the time to all be in touch and make sure that it happens. And it's just been something really special. And I really enjoy it. And thanks to you ladies, I am currently going to be making challah with Jordan for Friday night.
Okay, great. Jordan, you want to tell us, what is this service your mom's talking about?
So it's a service that we did at camp for Shabbat every Friday night. And pretty much we do all the blessings, like over the wine, candle lighting, and over the challah. And it's just really nice.
There's one little part that I love that I told Jordan that she should recite, because I just think it's kind of special, and was what.
Okay.
So part of it is Avinu Shabbat Shemayim. As I light my candles this Shabbat Eve, I thank you for the week that has passed. I thank you for protecting my family and helping us to better understand each other, to share our joys, to share our triumphs and disappointments, and to give strength to one another. I pray that the coming week will be a week of good health and continue mutual pride and love in our family.
It's really beautiful. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. And I think what was important is that obviously Jordan is going to a Jewish camp where she brings back that tradition, and you as a mom felt how important it is to envelop her in these Jewish traditions. And look how so now you're demonstrating, Lisa and Jordan, the opposite. She went and brought back to you some of the things she was modeling for you, and you just set it up so beautifully for her in order to learn those things and to share it with everybody else. But I love that prayer. Thank you so much. And we should have a great week, and it should help us. This coming Shabbat hopefully will enhance our week to come. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, mommy and daughter duo.
Thank you. And the other thing that we do also is Jordana. I don't know if everybody knows that Jordana does this fabulous thing every Friday, and we listen to it every Friday. Before our Shabbos, we listen to her wonderful words, and it's something that I enjoy. I passed on to several of my family members, and it's just something that brings the Torah reading just a little bit easier for us to understand what's going on for this week that's ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you, Jordan.
It's called Drink It In. So that's what
Drink it in, yes.
So that's what she's talking about. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. And now, without further ado, before we're going to go back to Ann and see the finished product, but we have our second cook. Our second cook is Nalamah. Is Nalamah around? We have Nalamah. She has a great lentil soup to show us. Hi, Nalamah. Oh my gosh. I love your pots. Look at that. Are those, what's her name? The one what's the famous lady's name? The cook. Or
Pick one. There's Ina Garden, Martha Stewart.
Rachel Ray.
Rachel Ray. Are those Rachel Ray pots? Are those Rachel Ray pots?
No, actually,
Oh.
I had been catching to my sister that I really wanted Le Creuset, and they cost $10,000 a piece or something like that. So she sent me a link. Turns out Costco's selling these in sets of 2 for $70.
Wow. Everybody, see, Elise, I told you we have to get sponsors. See, now we just mentioned Costco here. Okay.
The brand is Tramatina. So when y'all from Tramatina watch this video, just remember I bought your pots.
Yeah. So Nalamah, where are you from?
I'm Naamah Segal Karis. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay. And what are you going to be making for us? What are you going to make for us tonight?
Tonight, I am making the best lentil soup recipe you've ever tasted. And I'm being humble. It's not mine. It's my mother's recipe of blessed memory. It is entirely vegetarian if you want it to be. It can be fleishik if you want to do that as well, and I'll get into that when I discuss the recipe. But it's cheap, it's delicious, it's filling. You can actually take it and feed a ton of people, or you can cut it in half and feed like 2 or 3.
Now, they didn't put up the recipe yet, so could we just break for a second and put up that recipe? I mean, you could book. There's the recipe. Again, it's going to be in the chat. So, because I don't know if we got it down pat yet, if we could see Nalamah and the recipe at the same time.
Jordana, I just wanted to add that if you are in a speaker view, you can share, there's like a little tab that allows you to move your screen. So you should be able to see the recipe and Nalamah side by side.
Everyone can?
Yeah, I'm small and the recipe is big.
She is side by side. It is side by side.
Beautiful. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so she's side by side. So Nama, can I just ask you a question? Do you where did lentil soup come from? How does it connect to Judaism and the world we live in of Jewish?
So that question has a lot of answers. So I'm going to talk and cook at the same time.
Yes, please.
First of all,
let's see.
In the Middle East, lentils are a staple. They're better than beans, in my humble opinion, because you don't have to soak them. And they are a very, very common ingredient all across the Fertile Crescent, all across Northern Africa, Egypt. They're very, very common, and they're very adaptable. You can add any kind of seasonings you want, and Middle Eastern folks do that, exactly that. We add all kinds of flavors depending on the mood. And lentils can be both a soup, they can also be somewhat sort of absorbed and dried out and become something you mix into a salad, for example. So they're very, very adaptable and, what's the word I'm thinking of? Flexible. You can use them for all kinds of things. So what I'm gonna do, just to let you all know, is I'm gonna show you what we're working with. So we've got, I don't know if you can see, we've got 3 carrots. I've already prepped them, I've already cleaned them, as well as all the other vegetables. Or if you're like me and you have a bag of baby carrots in the kitchen, in the fridge, and your kids have only eaten half of them and they promised they would eat the whole thing, you take the half the bag of carrots and you use that instead of whole ones. But I don't peel them because the actual nutrients are in the peel. I also do 3 to 4 stalks of celery. It just depends on how much celery you like. Some people don't like the flavor. I love celery, so I'll do 4 stalks. These have already been cleaned and prepped. Check for bugs. And then you can use any color onion you prefer. I like to use yellows or whites. I got a medium onion. I haven't actually prepped it yet. And that's all the veg that's going in here so far. Are you with me?
I think just some people say if there's a way to make your screen a little bit bigger. I don't know. Are people not able to see?
I'm gonna check. Let's see.
I don't know. I just have in the chat, take the recipe and minimize the recipe and maybe make you bigger.
How's that?
Okay, I don't know. Whoever made the comment, does it look better for you?
Yeah.
It's half and half. Unless you want to get the recipe off, you're going to be stuck with half and half.
Okay, is it okay, Nikki? Take the recipe
Not
off?
half and half on my screen.
Is that good?
Take the recipe off if you want to see her the whole screen.
Okay, let's just have Nama then now.
I love it. It's like cooking at my house. So what we're doing, very simply, if you don't have a food processor, don't sweat it. You're going to get all your frustrations out by cutting. If you do have a food processor, mazel tov, you make your life easier. I don't bother with the shape, the size of the cuts. All of it's going to end up crumbling in the soup anyway. That's the beauty of soup. So I've got my pan heating up. It's already been wiped out because it's brand new. I'm going to throw my celery in the food processor. Done. I'm going to do the same with my carrots. Also keep in mind, carrots tend to make your food sweet. If you want to do this for Yom Tov because it's sweet, you can absolutely do that. Just add more carrots and you'll end up having a much more orange soup. Now, Jordana asked, what does this have to do with Judaism? Well, as a matter of fact, there's a story in Torah about lentil soup. So it goes, from what I understand, that Yaakov and Esau were, let's just say they were not the best of friends. And
right, they were twins, the brothers. Okay, okay, continue.
Esau was born first. Yaakov was born second. And at the time that this soup was being made, it was made by Yaakov for his dad, Yitzchak, because Yitzchak was in mourning because Abraham had died.
Right.
And, you know, we're Jewish, that's what we do. We're happy, we eat. We're sad, we eat. We're mourning, we eat. We're upset, we eat, whatever. So Jacob goes and makes some soup.
Can I interrupt for 1 second, Nama? The lentil is round. So it's supposed to signify when in time of mourning we eat round food to symbolize the circle of life. Okay, continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Thank you for reminding me. Long and the short version. Okay, cool. Long long and short version is that Isao came in from the field and he was absolutely exhausted, wiped out. He needed to eat something. And Jacob said, hey, I got some soup for you. It's delicious. It's amazing. You're going to love it. And Isao says, all right, cool. Give me a bowl. And Yaakov says, sure, no problem. Give me your inheritance. And apparently, it had to have been the most amazing soup in the whole wide world, or Esau really wasn't using all the common sense God gave him, because somehow he managed to give in and gave up his inheritance for a bowl of soup.
Right. Correct. Excellent. Well done, Amma.
Now, for those folks that like it, I cheat and I use minced garlic in a jar. You don't have to. You can absolutely cut your own garlic if you want. I'm going to finish off this jar. We go through about a jar every 2 weeks. And I've got my garlic in.
You go through that every 2 weeks? My gosh.
Yeah, we eat a lot of garlic. So onions and garlic, shallots, leeks, and green onions, they're all part of the lily family. And that's something that Jews have been cultivating in earnest for 2,000 or 3,000 years. The Romans used to call us the garlic eaters because we used to stink of garlic, because every time they would kick us out from someplace, we would take the garlic with us. It's easy to grow in a box someplace. So we ended up incorporating it into our food all the time. And I use a lot of it because it keeps you healthy. Anything in the lily family is good for the body and good for the immune system.
Okay. Wow. So what's the next step? Well, that's cooking. What's
Totally. 3 spices. We've got cumin. Any old cumin will do, as long as it's the powdered cumin. I eyeball it because I've done this a lot, but it's usually about 1 to 2 tablespoons based on your preference. Some people think cumin is like Mexican seasoning. For me, it's Israeli food. When I think of Israeli food, I think of cumin. The second is onion powder. I know we've got onion in this already, but I add onion powder anyway. It's just my mom's way of doing things. I do about a half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of that, and garlic powder. All of that just creates more flavor. You can never have enough flavor.
Right.
There's
And
never
remember also you told me not always need a lot of water for this soup, right?
Absolutely. What's going to end up happening, Jordana, is all of these seasonings and spices are going to start cooking in the bottom of this pan. And I'm about to throw in my lentils. Literally, all you do is cut the bag open like this, and you toss it in your pot, and you want to toss the lentils with all the spices and the vegetables. What ends up happening is everything gets coated, like Emerald Lagasse used to say, it's happy, happy. Once it's like that, I'm going to give you my secret ingredient. And this is why we need sponsors. Awesome. The consomme mix. I love this stuff. I put it in
Costco. We got Manischewitz before. We got Osam now. We got the pots. Rabbi Barnett, we got to contact these companies.
I don't know a single Jewish household that doesn't have this in the pantry. So usually I put in about 2 tablespoons, but it just depends, again, on your preference and how much you're making. Mix it all up so that it's incorporated before you ever put the water in.
Oh, can I just tell you, someone had a question on the chat, and it's so funny because I also was thinking the same thing. Somebody's saying you don't soak the lentils in advance?
Nope, sure don't. That's the beauty of lentils. They're magical. You don't have to soak them.
Okay.
So I really, I'm lazy and I'm tired and I just had a baby and I have no interest in soaking beans. So you have lentils, it's easier, and they're already incorporated. If you want to get fancy, you can deglaze the pan with some white wine if you would like. If you don't want to, don't bother. But I'm just going to pour in 8 cups of water and scrape the pan so all the good stuff comes up off the bottom. Water's in, and that's done. Only thing left to do is add a couple bay leaves and let it cook for about an hour or 2.
Okay. Is it okay if we break for some inspiration, Nama?
Absolutely. We need inspiration. Thanks for inviting.
So if we could find Ilona, that would be great. We'd love to see Ilona. Hi, Ilona.
Everybody.
Hi, you want to tell everybody where you're from?
Hi, I'm from Long Island, New York, but I went to Israel with Queen's J Inspire.
Okay, so give us some background, your connection to Shabbos. What would you like to share with us?
So Well, we immigrated to the United States when I was 7 years old from Ukraine. So there we just could not even say that we were Jewish. It was complete, you know, taboo, dangerous. So that when we immigrated, first thing my parents wanted to do for me was give me some kind of a Jewish education, introduce me a little bit to Judaism, and at least have me not be afraid of saying I was Jewish. So they enrolled me in Solomon Schechter. So as you said, you know, with going back to the kids and the parents, I was now the one who was bringing the Judaism and what I was learning in school back to the home, where my parents absolutely knew zilch, like nada, nothing, zero, other than the fact that they were Jewish. So I, little by little, would teach them a little bit. They started to ask questions. We started going to temple for some holidays, and had this thing in me where I just naturally gravitated to everything Jewish. And fast forward many years, I went to Israel only once, and my second trip to Israel was with Jay Inspire, which was the most amazing, amazing trip of my life. The city leaders, the girls on my trip, we're still in touch to this day. I was on the 2017 trip. And since then, I've been pretty close to Shomer. Our house is completely kosher. I bake challah almost every week, definitely light candles. My boys started weekly lessons with our local rabbi lately. In fact, he was here this evening studying with them. I have two older boys that are totally into it in this last Shabbat. They were in Shomer, but they put their phones away for about 5-6 hours. So like you said earlier, baby steps, little by little. And it's just been the most amazing thing in our lives. You know, we spend the day together, we spend the evening together, we talk about the week, we catch up, and just trying to learn more and more and instill and take it one day at a time. But it's been just amazing.
Thank you, Ilona. And again, I think everyone's noticing this recurring theme of that concept of children coming into the picture and your parents, what they could do for you, and then what you could do for your children, and just how we want to model a better way of life, a more rewarding life, and being patient of that one step by step. And like you said, that 5 hours, that's amazing.
For someone who's never done it at all, right. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And I'm very proud of you.
You know, that's a big thing. If, you know, people could say just for the Shabbat meal Friday night, it's no phone time. Right. Let's disconnect and let's try to connect together as a family. So I love that. Thank you so much, Ilona. And I'd love to call on Robin. Robin, everybody, is like the one who is behind the Arizona episode here. I know I host it and I'm the face right now, but really Robin did a lot of the legwork. So thank you, Robin. She got the cooks. She got some of the speakers. She organized. So I would like to introduce Robin. She wanted to say a few things to us. Go ahead, Robin.
Thank you so much for organizing this show. It's so fun. And the Arizona team did not coordinate their colors, but I think 3 of us or 4 of us are all wearing green and we didn't even talk about it. So that's kind of fun. So what I wanted to share with you is an amazing thing really is that in the Hebrew letters, they also have numeric values. And if you didn't know this, it could really blow your mind away. But all of the things that are associated with our Shabbat foods add up to the number 7, which is the day of Shabbat. So, and I'm going to tell you a little story as well. So Ner, which is the candles, that is 7. Yeah, wine is 7. Challah is 7. Dog, which is fish, and we had that show a few weeks ago, that's 7. Crane, even the horseradish is 7. Marach, which is meat, is 7. Kishka is 7. Cholent is 7 when you take the letters. And sushi is 7. And guess what? Soup is 7. And I'm going to show you how soup is 7. The way you say soup in Hebrew is marach, and that's a mem. And the mem has an equivalent of 40. The resh has an equivalent of 200. The kuf has an equivalent of 100. So when you add 40 plus 200 plus 100, you get 340, okay? So then you take the 3 and the 4 and the 0, and you get 7. And you
Oh,
can do
okay.
that with all of the Shabbos that I just mentioned. So it's divine. The food that we eat is divine, including the soup. Now, we are in Arizona, and so I want to tell you something a little bit funny. So it's hot in Arizona. So sometimes you don't want to have soup, right? But with the children love to have a consistent menu, right? You can deviate a little bit, but kids really love to have a consistent menu. And one time, my kids now are 20, I'm a grandmother. My kids are 23 to age 8. And one time we had a little boy over, he was about 8 years old, and I didn't serve soup because it was in the middle of the summer. And it was one of my little boy's friends. And he said, Mrs. Meyerson, where's the soup? I said, well, yeah, it's, like 105 out, I didn't feel like making soup. And his face, he was like crestfallen. And he said, Mrs. Meyerson, it's just not Shabbos without the soup. And it really made me think about the power of the soup and how I need to make it every week. And so we experiment. I love the matzo ball soup, and my kids love the matzo ball soup, but we also experiment with some cold soups. We do cucumber soup and gazpacho soup, and we even do like coconut curry soup. So you can do all different types of soup as long as there's soup. And I want to share one more thing about children. When I actually got into keeping Shabbat about 20 years ago, and I hadn't even heard about Shabbat, okay? The first time I heard about it, I thought it was on Sunday, and I thought it was for nuns. Okay? This is the truth.
Okay.
So as I started to learn, I grew with my children, and I asked my children to come into the kitchen with me and make everything with me. And it was a mess. It was busy. But now, fast forward 20 years, guess what? They're cooking everything. They're shopping. They're buying all the ingredients. They're planning all the menus. So bring your kids into the kitchen, because Judaism is in the home. Judaism is in your kitchen, and it belongs with the whole family, cooking and preparing. And even if it gets messy, it's just such, those memories that I have. In fact, I put together photos of my kids, making food over the years. And we made like scrapbooks of everybody cooking and making things. And those are the best memories, being in the kitchen and preparing Shabbat together as a family with my kids. So I encourage you to do that if you can.
Thank you, Robin. It's so funny you start talking about the soup, because even my own son, who's 11, he says, Ima, can you start making chicken soup again this week? Are we going to have the soup? So I so relate to that also, the importance and having tradition and having really, it's so important that the kids get used to things, and Shabbos means something to them. And so we saw some kids just relate through it to food. So thank you, Robin, for arranging your beautiful Arizona branch. So appreciate it. And everybody should know that Robin is being honored. September 14th, Project Inspire. You could look it up. She's one of the honorees, and we're so excited. And it's such a well-deserved honor, Robin. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to get to know you through this process. Thank you. Thank you. So we have some words of inspiration. Again, where's Lisa London? Hi, Lisa. Lisa, why don't you tell everybody where you're from?
I am from Wayne, originally from Flushing, Queens. And I was in Bergen County for many years. I too lived in Norwood for many years before I ventured out to Passaic County.
Uh-huh.
And my story is a little different. While inspired by children, my story is reverse of most. Whereas I was brought up conservative, my parents were conservative. When I got married and had children, we raised them conservative. Keeping Shabbos wasn't something that we did. Occasionally we do a Friday night dinner with candles and challah, but that was about the extent of it. And then about 8 years ago, my son was at that time was a sophomore in college. He ended up becoming a Baal Teshuva. He was inspired and decided to become more religious. And so I had learned a lot from him over the years, and was inspired by his inspiration. From that, my daughter followed suit. And both he and he attended yeshiva in Israel. She attended seminary. She recently came back in March. she followed suit a little bit later, but their inspiration meant a lot to me. And I wanted to make my home one that they would feel comfortable eating in, and one that they would feel comfortable enjoying Shabbos. So little by little, I've been converting my home to a kosher home. I was actually going to go through the conversion process right as COVID hit. So I'm a little bit in flux. But what I've come to discover, since my daughter's been home from Israel and we've been keeping Shabbos together, it's really so amazing. And I had recently started making challah, much like everyone else, and in part because of the wonderful challah bakes that we have in Bergen County, the lessons, the monthly challah bakes at Esther Friedman's home or on Zoom, and the big mega challah bake that had run every year up until this year, of course. And I found it to be so much fun, so enjoyable, so delicious. And little by little, I started incorporating Shabbos into my life. And what I get out of it is a way to connect with my family, my children. Sometimes I'll go to my son and daughter-in-laws for Shabbos, or my daughter and I will have Shabbos together, perhaps with a friend or two. And it's really our time to shut down and connect. And I use that opportunity to speak to Hashem, to ask for things that I need in my life, to ask for things that my family and friends need in their life, to pray for people in need of healing. My son is a very big proponent in talking to God, talking out loud. He spends an hour a day talking to God in English out loud. And I don't do an hour a day, but I, at least on Shabbat, I will read the Parsha. I will talk to God. I will do some form of spiritual reading or learning. And it's just really nice to, and I've never had this in my life before, to, shut out the rest of the world. And, in the beginning, it was difficult adapting to change. But once you start to do it, you realize that it's a welcome presence in your life. And it's made a huge difference. And I know my children are happy that I'm taking on more of a Shomer Shabbos lifestyle and becoming more spiritual. And they were truly my inspiration. They're the ones who taught me, as opposed to me teaching them. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you, Lisa. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Oh, so nice. See, it goes both ways, guys. We give it to our kids give it to us, and it's just so beautiful. I wanted to go back to Nama. Nama, I know you're busy with the baby over there, but I know Nama has these great tricks with her soup and leftover soup, and we want to see it, and then we'd love to see the finished product also by Anne before we wrap up. So Nama, talk to us.
Okay, first and foremost, if you're anything like me, you don't want to have to cook every single night of the week. So when you make a pot of lentils, you have 3 dishes in one pot. Sorry, that's my sous chef. He doesn't do anything. I think I'm going to fire him. Come here, sous chef. Come here. All you do is kvetch all the time. Say hi, sous chef.
Okay.
What you're going to do with this amazing lentil soup, obviously you can have it as a soup, but like Robin said, it's 1,000 degrees in Arizona at any given time, 6 months out of the year. So instead of just having it as soup, that's the first thing. But as you can tell, it's gorgeous.
Yes.
You can take it and you can drain the liquids out. Keep the liquids for broth because, broth is yummy too. But you can take the actual lentils then, put them in your food processor with some breadcrumbs, parsley. If you want to add Parmesan cheese and make it dairy, go ahead and do that and zhuzh it all up together and make lentil patties, make burgers or ktzitzot, like we say in Hebrew, and fry them in a frying pan.
Wow.
So that's 2. And then if you don't want to do that, you can leave the liquid in and you can keep it cold and use what my mother used to call a boat motor and zhuzh all through the soup, and then you have a dip. And you can serve it warm or cold, and it is beautiful with pita chips. And so you have 3 things right there to make from this one soup.
And we put that on the recipes. We made a slide for that. So if anybody, you didn't catch that, if you click on in the chat.
Thank you. Immersion blender. Thank you, Miriam.
You will see it there. And if we could go to Ann, Ann should show us the finished product. Oh, you're eating it. See, that's the problem. You're all the way in Arizona. I want to taste that. Not fair.
We won't get here until next year.
So Ann, can we go to Ann so we can see Ann's finished product? Oh, Ann, can we see the finished product? You're
Yeah, I'm
yummy.
getting it.
She's getting it for us. She's going to show it to us. We're so excited. The chicken soup that nobody would even know. Not chicken, she didn't put chicken, the matzo ball soup that no one would even know it was from a box.
Put it in a pretty Shabbat plate.
You gotta,
And
wait, your camera's not on it. Move.
let's see if I can move the camera
Yes,
there.
there you go. Oh my gosh. Doesn't
And
that
I took a little bit of parsley and I decorate the side of the bowl. You've got the parsley, the carrot, the celery in there. And one thing I forgot to mention before,
Yes.
when I dropped the egg, there's 2 tablespoons of oil that go in with the matzah meal too.
Okay.
Just so you know, but you have the recipe, so it's easy enough to follow. And as I said, you could add noodles, you could do what you want with it. It's just so easy when it's hot out and you just don't have, you know, the energy to start from scratch and do it all. And with my homemade challah, my kids are in their glory with the soup and the homemade challah and the rest of the meal. It's great.
Oh my gosh. And you know, when you showed us that, could you show that plate again? Because it looks like one of those pictures you see online. It was like
I'm
so
trying to, wait, let me see if I can, let me turn the screen down.
yeah,
so you can
like,
see
yeah,
it.
right. When I had a search, you should know, when I had to make those slides, those are the pictures that came up online that I wanted to put in my slides.
Yeah.
Beautiful
And
presentation.
it
I
just
love it.
looks nice when I bring it out to the table. The kids can't wait. My husband's enjoying it. We all enjoy it. So,
There's
and,
a
and as I
question
said,
for
I
you.
draped a piece of parsley. Well, you can't see it again.
Someone
But I
has a
kind of
question.
draped some parsley over the edge of the bowl,
So cute.
like
Someone
that,
has
just to
a
give it a
question.
little bit of a decorative.
I just want to ask you, a question. Someone wants to know, when you make the matzo ball, do you make it in a separate pot of boiling water, or you put
No,
it
as a matter of fact, you put the mix, we didn't have time, but you put the mix in the refrigerator. I made one up. Here's the mix. And then I dip my hand in water and I and form it into a ball and just
put it in the soup?
Cover it up and it boil and turn it down to simmer for about 25 minutes. And if I'm not ready to serve it right away, I kind of turn the cover ajar so a little bit of steam can escape and you don't lose all the liquid. And just keep it warm that way till I'm ready to serve it. I can also do it on Thursday if I'm busy. If I have a busy day on Friday,
Remember I asked you to move your papers?
and have it ready too.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you, the cooks. Thank you, ladies of inspiration. And I think we wanted to put something up on the
I
screen.
need to go there too. Oh,
Or you can mute
remove.
everybody else if you
Thank
can, if you can hearing somebody. Thank you. There should be a flyer that we wanted to put up on the screen. We wanted to thank Project Inspire for doing these great, amazing episodes that we've done. Hopefully after the holidays, we're gonna come back with another 3 episodes, because all we did was got up to soup. We have a lot more to talk about. We have chillin', we have some desserts, we have side dishes. But to show your appreciation, we have coming up on the 14th, our virtual dinner. And you could see, if you take a close look, we have great people. The whole Queens branch is being highlighted. And as you saw, Robin, Rabbi Sampson, and my very own Mark and Michelle Mandelman, they're being sponsored, they're being honored. We have a great show, a great lineup. If you look, it's very small and I'm trying to see it when I talk. I see we have Rabbi Loud, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Rabbi Berkowitz of Aish. We're celebrating 15 years of Project Inspire, and that's really what's so amazing. They're true to their name. That's what Project Inspire does. If you heard all the different participants tonight, it was all about inspiration, how they've inspired each and every family. And it's not just inspiring the women. What happens is, when you've inspired a mom, you've inspired a home. And when you've inspired a home, it's everlasting and it trickles down to the children. And coming back to our theme for tonight, Hakel, everyone coming together. We're one unit. We're one group. We all come together. The king is going to talk to us. Our king now is God. He's talking to us and he wants everybody present, even the little infants when they can't understand, because that's what happens. Children catch. They catch us in good. They catch us when we're doing acts of kindness. They catch us when we're lighting that Shabbat candle. They catch and they smell when we're making that challah. And tonight, they're gonna catch us making that soup. And so beautifully put. I love that, Robin, how she explained the 340 in each digit. If you take each digit separately, it adds up to 7 being Shabbat. This is unbelievable. Somebody wants to know, how do we get to see the program on September 14th? Can we put up that flyer again? Is there like gonna be a Zoom ID? Is there something, should they go to the website, make a donation? Do they need to, there we go, Rabbi Barnett says go to projectinspire.com. Do they need to make a donation in order to get onto that, Rabbi Barnett? Yeah. Any donation, I'm sure, is welcome. If it's so needed. We want to have more and more of these programs. I know everyone's enjoying. I get such positive feedback from everybody, and we just want to continue inspiring. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you to all the presenters. It's great. It's going to be a Zoom just like this one. It's a Zoom call. And I look forward to seeing people. Maybe we'll be able to say hi on that Zoom call on September 14th and get more inspiration before Rosh Hashanah comes. So, does anyone want to say anything else before we say goodnight?
I wanted to thank you for inviting me. And I also wanted to let you know that 2-3 years ago, I met a woman who's on this call right now on a subway in New York named Sheila Israelian. And she gave me the name of Robin Meyerson, who talked tonight. And now I am speaking on a Project Inspire Zoom call, and Sheila's watching. It's this incredible circle, and had it not been for Project Inspire, it wouldn't have happened. So thank you.
I know, isn't that so amazing? Whatever Project Inspire does, it just trickles down. Their hand is everywhere, and they just inspire. And that's what's so amazing. So thank you, Project Inspire. We love all the work that you do. Thank you so much. We're going to try to work on those sponsors next. I think that's our next job. So everyone have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week and have a great Shabbos. I hope you can make those recipes.
Thank you, Jordana.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Stay safe.
Thank you so
everybody.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everyone has a little noise going on.
All right,